Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Ryan, a former commando from the UK, and today we're going to be talking about the China-Taiwan tensions, how they've been escalating over the past few days, guys. So if you're brand new to the channel, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Yeah, we're going to be talking all things China-Taiwan over the next couple of days. It seems to be the new big thing in the media. Okay, we first had Ukraine, Russia at the beginning of the year. Now it's China and Taiwan, especially amidst the talks with China and Russia, and then obviously Pelosi going and visiting Taiwan. The pot seems to be stirred quite thick, and there's a lot of things happening, guys. So we're going to summarize a couple of key points, and we're going to get into them a little bit. So hopefully you enjoy. So today is the second, I think it's the second or third day that China is to begin its unprecedented live firing drills. Okay. Now, for those of you who are not military orientated, live fire drills is quite an escalation, especially when you look at the geography involved in China's live firing drills. It's not as if they're doing live firing drills in contained areas within China. They're doing live firing exercises right on the outskirts of Taiwan in the seas around them, and they're actually in some cases encroaching quite close into their waters, and in other cases, actually going into their waters and using live firing munitions. It's quite an escalation in my experience as a soldier. It's almost threatening. And I do think if it wasn't Taiwan, it was another country, for instance, if China was practicing the very same drills and exercises in other waters around the globe. Let's just have a look at the United States, for instance. If they were shooting those munitions very close in the same proximity as what they're doing to Taiwan, there would definitely be a retaliation and a defensive one of that from likes of the United States. So really are beginning to, escalate things. Now, China's launched huge military exercises in the air and seas around Taiwan on Thursday, including firing ballistic missiles close to the island, some of which have landed in Japanese waters. All right, I didn't know that. So, yeah, Japan's whether or not they're going to try and involve Japan in this, it's that's another debate entirely. But there's one thing for sure: is some of those ballistic missiles are encroaching on countries and places and lands that are definitely nothing to do with China in that regard. So they're escalating things. The exercise, which included rockets, attack helicopters, and gunships, were arranged in reaction to a defiant visit by the island by the United States Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Wednesday. So I'm not too sure if they were arranged in reaction to her visit. I understand that Nancy Pelosi, when she did visit on Wednesday, China issued warnings saying it's not going to be favourable. Put it that way, okay? I think China's feeling the same way as actually most people in the United States were feeling. They're not too keen on Nancy visiting the place in the first place. I don't believe she had. I don't know if permission's the right way of saying it, but she certainly went off her own back in her own regard. This woman's in her 80s now, and she's still cracking on. I think she's got a bit of a what's the right way of saying this? It's almost as if she thinks she's the person in charge, I don't know. She's got very much a narcissistic, grandiose complex, as do most of these people in higher positions anyway. But I don't know what she's thinking by going over there. I know there's obviously going to be, government-related issues that they need to sort out. But the timing for this is the thing that I'm worried about. Why go over there and try to make reactions a little bit more tense. I mean, if they did escalate it by firing those rockets and producing those live firing exercises as a result of her visiting, then that's something that really needs to be addressed, in my opinion. The United States condemned the missile launches. China has chosen to overreact and use the speaker's visit as a pretext to increase provocative military activity in and around the Taiwan Strait. White House spokesman John Kirby said so. That's kind of what I was thinking anyway. The fact that Nancy Pelosi has visited and then China's put a statement out saying that, we're doing this as a result of her visit, it's a bit weak in my eyes. It's a bit of a weak statement, okay? It's one of those, well, you hit me, so that's why I decided to beat you up kind of thing. probably has had the intention of doing it anyway, and they're using Nancy as a little bit of a smokescreen, so to speak. Okay, so I don't think they increased the live firing exercise as a result of her visiting. I think they've used it as a bit of an excuse, put it that way. Kirby also warned of the risk of a mistake in calculations of the drills, saying one of the things that's troublesome about exercises like this or missile launches like this is the risk of calculation, the risk of a mistake that could actually lead to some sort of conflict. This is something that needs to be considered. We don't always get it right when we're doing practice exercises, especially with live ammunition. I understand from my own experience in the British military, we don't always get it right. That's why we train, and that's why we do these live firing exercises, so we understand where we're going wrong and how to make it better. You don't always get it right with live ammunition, okay? And things do go wrong. I've seen it myself. It's not necessarily human error. It's just, some things in the planning phase might have went wrong. It's the breakdown of communications. There's loads of variables that can increase your chances of making a mistake, and that's the military for you. That's when you're dealing with live ammunition, things can go wrong, and people can lose their lives. And in this case, what they're talking about is, well, what if you're conducting these live firing exercises very, very close to Taiwan, and one of those missiles just so happens to veer off in the wrong direction and hits an innocent target on the island. That's actually quite possible, okay? And if that was to happen and China was to put a statement out and say, well, it was an accident in the first place, we didn't mean to do it, that would be quite cheap as well. It would be easy for them to say that, but it is an escalation. And I do think, either way of looking at it, if an accident doesn't happen, it's still, tensions are going to rise as a result of you being in their waters anyway, doing live firing exercises very close to the mainland. And two, if an accident happens, then they're going to escalate things even further. So either way, I just think they're asking for trouble. They're asking for trouble, that's for sure. US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said he hopes very much that the Beijing will not manufacture a crisis or seek in a pretense to increase its aggressive military action. Now, the key word which I've highlighted in that is manufacture a crisis, and that's exactly what's going on here. This is something that does not have to happen. Let's get that straight, guys. It doesn't have to happen. If it does happen, it's because, China have manufactured this whole thing from start to finish to happen. You look at the precursors of war, the warning shots, so to speak. They're firing all the right warning shots, guys, to start a war here. And it would only be China to blame as far as I'm concerned. I think they're kind of hijacking the whole Ukraine-Russia conflict is a means to start a war and land grab. It's got great strategic value, has Taiwan, and I do think this is going to escalate further. And that's not me, scaremongering. I do think each day China is escalating things ever so slightly. And I do think it's definitely on the cards. Foreign ministers from the 10-member Asian bloc meeting in Cambodia this week called for maximum restraint without mentioning the US or China by name. In a statement, it said the situation could lead to serious confrontation, open conflicts, and undesirable consequences among major powers. So what that's saying is, if this continues, it's not just going to be a problem with China and Taiwan. It's going to include other people, because there's going to be a few major things happening around the globe then. We've got Russia, we've got Ukraine, we've got China, we've got Taiwan, we've got Russia and China, in each other's pockets politically. They're in each other's pockets in terms of trying, and in my personal opinion, they're trying to disrupt the US dollar by their own various means. I'll probably talk about that in a different video, but there's a number of things that's happening that the world stage will, they'll be forced to play their cards. It's not a waiting game anymore. They'll be, things will have to happen here. And if you look at how world wars start, it's loads of microaggressions around the globe. that normally happen, and it's about what side you choose at that point as well. So this is something else that we just don't need. It's something that's probably going to happen, and the bigger countries are going to have to get involved in some way, shape, or form. What that's going to do, in my personal opinion, is just make matters worse until everyone gets involved in a large scale war. That's probably where it's going to go. I don't know. I might be wrong on that, but I'd like to hear your opinions on that as well, guys. We've got a lot of experts in the chat. I'm certainly not one of them. I do get called out from time to time for not knowing my stuff, but I'm just a guy talking about what's going on in the world. I do not pretend to be a historian or a military expert, although I served in the military. I'll say again, for those of you out there who want to put negative comments out, I'm not a military expert, guys. I just read stuff and make an opinion on it. It's as simple as that. But Japan said at least 5 of the 11 Dongfeng ballistic missiles fell into its exclusive economic zone, which extends 200 nautical miles from Japan's coast. 200 miles is in the average civilian's kind of understanding. It's quite a bit, okay. But on the other hand, in terms of military speaking, 200 miles is not really a great deal at all, okay. When you consider some of the artillery that Russia is using, and they've got like a what's a world if they make a mistake, some of these things inaccurate for quite a large distance, okay. Some of the kit that they're using, of how accurate they can be and how inaccurate it can be, actually quite scared me. So in that case, 200 miles for some of these weapon systems, it's not a lot. It's a couple of clicks left, a couple of clicks right for these things to be able to hit the country. So 200 miles is not a big space at all with some of these missiles, guys, and it doesn't leave a lot of room for error, put it that way. We might think 200 miles is big, but it's not really when we're talking about what we're talking about. But Japan also speculated that 4 missiles flew over Taipei, Taiwan's capital city, according to a statement. All right, so that's quite an escalation. We're not just talking about Taiwan waters now. We're talking about the mainland. Some of these things are flying above. I just imagine in your country now, where you're sat, where you're residing, how you would feel if you had a neighbouring country who's acting aggressively, saying that they're not acting aggressively, and then they suddenly start practicing war games in your ocean, and then some of these some of the missiles start going over your house, and you're looking up going, what the hell's going on here? You would take that as legit. You'd take that as a real escalation of them wanting to do harm to you. So Taiwan should be worried as far as I'm concerned. I think anyway. Now, Taiwan's defense ministry said that the missiles flew high into the atmosphere and constituted no threat to the island. It's easy for them to say that. What happens if one of those malfunctioned and just literally dropped from the sky? Anything that flies can potentially drop, okay, if it malfunctions. We don't need to be aerospace engineers to understand that, okay. These things can go wrong, and they can fall, and they can cause an unbelievable amount of damage. But what are they doing in their airspace anyway? Let's talk about that. Taiwan's leader urged Beijing to act with reason and exercise restraint, while maintaining Taiwan would not escalate conflict, but would resolutely defend their sovereignty. So what they're saying is, they don't want to fight. We're putting our hands up, like, please just leave us alone. But if you want to fight, we're gonna defend our nation. And Taiwan, they've got about less than a tenth of the size of the military of China. But that doesn't mean to say that they're not going to be able to defend themselves if need be. Taiwanese are quite formidable individuals. They're more than capable of defending themselves if needed. And I do believe that there's going to be a lot more support for Taiwan than there is China. Although you could say Russia is in support of China. Would they support them in something like this? I don't think so. I think they've got their own problems to worry about in this regard. So yeah, it's interesting times, guys, what's going on here. But what I want to do is have a look at a video. It's called China Launches Live Fire Drills 12 Miles from Taiwan. So we're gonna have a look at this footage, okay? And I'll let you guys make your mind up what you think with it. Let's get into it. Right. So, I mean, them things there, they're going to cause a lot of damage. They're not there to be taken lightly. Them things are literally designed to cause mass destruction. So yeah, I think Taiwan should be scared. You know, China is playing with fire as far as I'm concerned. They're definitely they're seeking trouble. That's what I would say. You know, what it seems to me is that they're trying to strategically place themselves, I'm talking about China here, in a position to be able to launch a coordinated attack on a defended island. And they're seeing what the response is going to be, whilst it's technically classed as an exercise. Now, Russia was doing similar things on the Ukraine borders for a long time, and then they launched their special operation, as they're still calling it. So, yeah, I think what they're doing is they're probing to see what the initial response would be, not just from Taiwan, but from the global elites, from the big superpowers out there. What's their response going to be before they actually do anything? Yeah, I would like to hear what your thoughts are on that, actually. Okay, so just a short video there on that one. Yeah, I think what they could be doing is just putting themselves in a position to be able to launch an offensive if need be. It seems that that's what they want to do anyway. They're just gauging on the global feeling and obviously what Taiwan's response will be. I think that's probably what the crack is with that one, guys. I'm going to read a few more of these points here and see what is going on. Several cyber attacks also struck Taiwan, targeting websites of the Defense Ministry, the Foreign Ministry, and the Presidential Office. There's no there's no surprise there on that one. I think, yeah, if you were going to launch any kind of large scale operation, and it would be, if there would have to be an amphibious operation to be able to complete this task, and it would be arguably the largest amphibious attack in history. All right, outside of D-Day, if you look at the scales and the numbers and the area that's involved in Taiwan, it would have to be the largest scale. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. It still has a good chance of not working anywhere, depending on how good Taiwan's defenses are. So, yeah, what would I do? I would like to take out the computers first. Cyber attacks make sense. So I think they're probing for war, guys. I think they're asking for trouble. I think we're going to see this escalate over the next coming days and weeks. What do you think is going to happen, though? I'd like to hear from you in the comments. Guys, if you've made it this far, thank you for supporting the channel. And again, I'll just say to you guys before we go, I'm not an expert on this kind of stuff, all right? I'm just someone who's interested. I did a bit of time in the military myself, so I am military orientated. But, you know, I'm not an expert, so I'm not here to get things right. I'm just here to talk about things and, you know, generate the conversation in the chat and then learn things from you and then see what the crack is, all right? That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not an expert on anything, that especially this type of stuff. So, yeah, if you do enjoy the content, and there's a lot of you guys do, I want to say thank you. If you're supporting the channel by becoming a member, then, you know, if you want to join, press the join button. You're more than welcome to join, guys. But other than that, thank you for stopping by. I really do appreciate you all, and let me know in the comments if you made it this far. Peace.